Did you get on a Ferris wheel since we last spoke?
Did I get on a Ferris wheel?
Hello, pod people, and welcome back to episode 3 of the Big Bad Nonsense podcast, the podcast where we explore the weirdness of the world. It's great to know you're listening, and today we have something deviating from our usual. At the time of recording this, I'm on holiday deep in the mountains of Slovakia, but Biscuit has put together an interview with our guest host, Sam. So please sit back, open your earholes, and enjoy.
All right, all you jib-jigglers on the podcast world, it is time for Big Bad Nonsense episode 3. This is your lovely host, Biscuit. I am not joined by my lovely host, Sock. We did 2 episodes in a row, so he's a little worn out and is busy being eaten by bears in the mountains in Europe somewhere. He will be back with us episode 4, possibly. In the meantime, I brought a couple people along because Lord knows I'm not interested enough to carry this on my own. We will start with Mystery Surprise Guest. Mystery Surprise Guest, how are you?
Which one is Mystery Surprise Guest?
Which one?
Off to a great fucking start there. Okay, so one of you is a guest, one of you is a host. Let's go with the host.
Hey, it's Sam. How's it going, boys?
There we go. All right, so are we going with Sam for you? Is that going to be the name for the show?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. And on the other side, I figured while the adult wasn't in the classroom, I'd do a show that he probably wouldn't. So I'm bringing along a guest from the Deathmatch wrestling world. If you follow that, you probably know his name. He's somebody that was barely on the radar about a year ago, and right now he's getting booked everywhere in the country and in Canada as well. That would be the hipster heartthrob, the king of no ring, Casanova Valentine. How are you, sir?
The Bushwick Antichrist, the scumlord of the underground, the creator, the originator of the no-ring death match, the Charlemagne of handsome, the Gilgamesh of getting gush, the hipster heartthrob himself, Casanova fucking Valentine, is on the Big Bad Nonsense podcast. Get your dick holes ready.
So, just another normal night for my man over there. So, what I would... God, you are a treasure. What I'd like to do is do a little basic Q&A with you and then maybe get into some stories beyond the scenes, as much as you're comfortable with. I know you don't want to burn too many bridges.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll do a little bit. We're not going to go too deep into the Q&A because, you know, you're an interesting guy, but nobody gives a fuck what your favorite movie is or anything like that. So
It's the movie The Running Man with Art Schwarzenegger. Now you know. Now everyone knows.
Well, okay, so we don't even have to build up to that moment anymore. I'm going to start it off. I think Sam's got a lot of questions for you because he's kind of virgin to the deathmatch world, but I'm going to start it off here.
Damn, I'll be gentle, okay?
Perfect.
Everybody that's in wrestling at the point in their lives that you are, they knew from an early point in their lives that they wanted to get into it. Like, you didn't wake up 6 months ago and be like, I'm going to be a fucking wrestler. So, like, you're watching it from the beginning. What point did you go from the basics to looking at getting hit in the head with glass and barbed wire and all that shit, and you're like, you know what, that seems like a good idea?
Yeah, you know, I mean, outside looking at it looks fucking nuts, but the first time I had, this is how sick it is, the first time I had barbed wire raked on my forehead, the only thing I could think was, finally. So, like, I grew up, I'm from upstate New York. I was trained in New York, and in New York, deathmatch isn't allowed through the, New York State Athletic Commission.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always kind of, even when I was on the normal indies before I did the no-ring stuff, I was known as a hardcore guy. Like, I was like the guy you'd book for hardcore matches.
Right.
So I always wanted to do deathmatch. I grew up with, ECW and FMW. So that was, I always wanted to be Bruiser Brody, So I always knew I wanted to do deathmatch, but it wasn't as easy being in New York, and I was trying to break into Jersey. I just didn't know how yet. And then after I took some time off, I started doing no ring, and I was like, fuck it. We're just going to do deathmatch. And then it opened up all the doors for me there. So, yeah, I wanted to do death from the beginning. I just didn't know how to go about it yet because I was in New York, and then it just, kind of fell in my lap after a while.
So it's just kind of an easier route for you and seemed more organic.
Well, yeah. Well, so the people that don't know or the people that do know, I'm the guy that started the no-ring deathmatch. So
yes, sir.
The reason I started doing that in New York, I'm also an artist. So I booked a pro wrestling themed art show, and I did a whole bunch of murals of famous dead wrestlers. And I was trying to think of something else to do for the art show. And I was like, dude, fuck it. I'll do a performance art piece where I just wrestle someone in the venue. So it was never supposed to be a thing. It was the plan. Like, the first show's called Deathmatch. Like, I didn't, it wasn't supposed to be an ongoing show. It was just supposed to be a one-off thing. And I was like, I'll do a deathmatch because it will, be shocking to a lot of people,
Yeah, absolutely.
But here's the thing: is I made the most money I've ever made. So I was like, fuck, I better. So I did another one, and now I make more money than I doing my own promoted deathmatch shows than I make doing any indie show. So I love when you watch deathmatch online. People are like, oh, was that worth a hot dog and a handshake? It's like, actually, I make a ton of fucking money, so fuck you. So it just kind of, and then from there, I started wrestling. Bigger name people saw my shows, and I kind of got into it organically. It wasn't like I went to Dojo Wars and came up through CZW. You know what I mean? I came up my own way, so kind of fell into it in a different path.
Yeah, I know you did. I've been following you since the beginning. How did that first pitch go? I mean, you're a bouncer. You're a bouncer at a, Jesus Christ, I knew I was going to forget this. Tender Trap, right?
Yeah, so here's how it worked so I was a bouncer at Tender Trap, and I was still, pro wrestler. I got kind of fatigued with the indie scene for a while, and I took a year off. I was like, I'm just kind of done with this for the time being. I did it. I wanted to be a pro wrestler. I could knock it off my list. But then after a year went by, I wanted to do this art show, and I was a bouncer at Tender Trap, so I already had to in with that venue. And I was like, well, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do a wrestling show. And then one night, the bar booked boxing in the back. They had a no-ring boxing show. I was like, holy shit, if they'll allow boxing here, they'll let me wrestle back here. And it kind of worked out because I'm friends with the owners, and they're kind of like punk rock guys that don't really give a fuck. So, I can't do this at venues that are going to be all tight. It has to be kind of like punk rock, rad places that would let... Basically, if you like G.G. Allen, you book me. If you don't like G.G. Allen, you want nothing to do with me. That's basically I'm on the G.G. Sliding scale of being booked or not,
Yeah, that's about where I'd put you as well.
So we've already covered my first big questions, which were what the hell and how the hell. But in terms of, you mentioned that you were making more money or are making more money kind of in the deathmatch scene than in the regular indies. And as someone that lives in a town that just has a relatively small standard indie scene, and my only exposure to deathmatch wrestling is via the internet. And is it how widespread is this, or is it very regionalized?
Deathmatch?
Yeah.
Deathmatch deathmatch is interesting. There's pockets of huge fans. So you're from Ontario, Canada?
That's right, yeah.
Okay, so I'm currently the No Limits Wrestling Deathmatch Champion of Canada, which is a small promotion in Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
And, I go there. It's a small crowd, but all the fans, before I got there, they knew the names of all my moves. They knew all the matches I've ever had. And you don't really realize how big your reach is, And then I just started wrestling for Vicious Outcast Wrestling in West Virginia. And same thing. Like
VOW.
Yeah, OVW. And I'm going to be back there October 27th. But all the fans know me. They know everything. And it's kind of interesting how, you go to these small venues, but the fans are so crazed about it. So, I feel like I'm just hitting the tip of the iceberg of how far my reach is, till I get booked to new places and people already know me. So,
So this is definitely a thing that doesn't exist without the internet.
The internet definitely helps because you could listen. I could do a small show, but I could put the match online for free, post it everywhere, and the whole world can see it. We live in a different time, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's definitely internet. I mean, there was a clip of John Wayne Murdoch versus G-Raver at the last OVW show.
Mm-hmm.
He hits a Canadian destroyer onto a barbed wire trampoline. It has over 200,000 views on YouTube. I mean, on Facebook, on the Facebook clip. So, I mean, you got to think, everyone's like, oh, man, hot dog and a hand job for wrestling deathmatch. Well, no, not really. Maybe there was 80 people at the show, but you got 200,000 views. That's going to open up more doors. I started out just wrestling at a bar I used to work at, and now I've worked Masada, Matt Tremont, Stockade, G-Raver, Schlack. I've basically wrestled some of the biggest names in deathmatch, and it's all because of my YouTube videos got so big,
Right.
So the power of the internet, you never know.
And while we're on that, so you're no longer at Tender Trap? That's done?
Well, I left Tender Trap. I currently work at a brewery in Gowanus, Brooklyn.
Right.
But I was my friends own Tender Trap. My best friends are bartenders there. The one band, Tight Fright, that plays all my shows, the lead singer is a bartender there. So, like, my shows are always mad fun because all my friends are making money on the shows,
Mm-hmm.
And my week, I always run on Wednesdays or Thursdays, and that's because I don't run against any other indie promotion, so no other indie has a reason to get heated with me and try to rat me out to the cops. And yeah, and it's smart, I run on Wednesday. I'm not, and B, it's easier to get talent because who the fuck's booked on a Wednesday,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And then C, because I live in New York, if I run on a Saturday, I have to compete against all of New York City, like any party, any event. Whereas a Wednesday, there's nothing going on. So that's why I draw the way I do on weekdays, because it's like, if I ran on Saturday, I'm not just running against pro wrestling. I'm running against all of the things you could do in New York City,
Yeah.
So that's why it worked out.
And, I mean, I've been talking to you for, I don't know, a year and a half or so, something like that. You've really climbed the ranks in that time. What do you think was the launching pad for that? Like, you were kind of just a guy that was just doing it because you like doing it for quite a while, and you've taken off recently. What do you think was the moment?
Well, here's the thing. In the beginning, I was wrestling other local guys. Like Deathmatch 1, I did Indestructible Joe Hotel. Deathmatch 2, I wrestled this guy named Magma. And I worked at a small promotion with both those guys before. And in Deathmatch 3, it was a triple threat. Me versus Joe Hotel versus Magma. And after that, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to keep booking this because all the vets in New York were shitting on me. All of them. They're all like, this is fucking dumb. The black guy in pro wrestling. Casanova's doing this backyard bullshit. And then I got Connor Claxton. And then I got Masada, and I think Masada was the launching point. Because after I got Masada, it added like a real big level of credibility to my shows. Because to have a fucking OG, real life badass like Masada hit me up to work it, and then put me over to everyone being like, yo, Casanova's the dude. It just helped me, like overnight helped me. And then from there, I did Deathmatch 7 against Tremont, and Tremont asked me to do it, and then I got Zack Sabre Jr. versus Chuck Taylor to open, which is just fucking insane. I mean, what other show can you see Matt Tremont and Zack Sabre Jr. on the same card, you know?
That's wild.
Yeah.
Never.
And what's nuts, here's a popular misconception, is the fans that don't like me or they just don't know anything, they think I'm a money mark and I just paid to have all these wrestlers come fight me, and it's like this this ego boost thing. But that's so fucking far from the truth. Like, I split the door evenly. So whatever I make, Zack Sabre makes, or Matt Tremont makes, or Masada makes. I'm not paying for anyone's flight or anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I just did this for fun. And then bigger names asked me to do it when I'm going to say no, you know? Zack Sabre's like, hey, can I wrestle at your birthday party? You're going to say no? Like, no. I was like, hell yeah, dude.
No,
So,
I mean, if Masada shows up with his skewers and he's like, can I play? You're not going to be like, fuck you.
I was like, no, it's kind of small thing, you know?
Yeah.
So it ended up growing that way. So, you know, I just had more and more bigger, because the thing is, my shows just are fun, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The big difference between my shows and other shows is mine's not a wrestling show. Mine's 2 bands, a bunch of beers, a bunch of babes, and it's a party. Whereas other shows, you go in the middle of nowhere and you watch fucking 12 matches in a row in the gymnasium. And, like, it's a harder sell for New York. It's like when I first broke in, I used to wrestle in Deer Park, Long Island for New York Wrestling Connection. It's an amazing promotion. There's amazing talent there. But trying to get anyone from Brooklyn to drive all the way to Long Island to see me wrestle on a Saturday, there's no fucking way in hell, you know? Mm-hmm. And then by the time we get home, so I just brought the wrestling show to people that I knew would love it. They just needed to see it, you know? There's plenty of people I'm like, you don't think you're a wrestling fan, but trust me, if you watch this shit live, you'd love it. And they just had to see it, you know? And what's crazy is the amount of deathmatch fans I've made. Like, when I got booked for CZW this year, I had so many of my friends, so many people I just vaguely know went to CZW just because I was booked. Originally, I was going to rent a party van and drive everyone down there. But, like, last second, things fell through. But I was about to get a party bus full of 50 people just to take them. Because it's people that didn't like Deathmatch or just didn't know about it. But I made it accessible. So it's not just like IWA in the middle of the South.
Yeah.
Danger. It's like normal people seeing it.
Let me jump in there. The next time you're trying to coordinate a party van to go to one of these shows, like, fucking call me. Because I would have driven the goddamn thing. Like,
yeah, dude, I had it so dope. We were going to leave from Tender Trap, and I was going to fill the whole top row of the, you know, overheads with 30 racks, and then we're going to drive there, wrestle, and then have an after party. And I was so stoked to do it, but like last second, there was like problems with the owner of Tender Trap. Is actually a very world famous BMX bike rider, who's now retired, but now he does commentary for the X Games. His name's Daryl New. He's fucking famous, and he's always out of the country, so it's kind of hard to coordinate with him. So last second, I couldn't get the email back and the deadline done in time. But that's the kind of thing I want to do. I want to make pro wrestling fun. You know, like I'm so tired of going to these shows and it's just like a little gym and. You know, like, fuck, dude. I'm an adult. I want to meet babes and party. I don't want to, you know. Like,
so I don't know if you maybe want to plead the fifth on this, but I know that the New York State Athletic Commission can be kind of stringent, or at least I've heard it is with even just more like traditional or conventional pro wrestling shows. Like, what's it like running death matches in a place that has a commission that actually functions like a commission?
Yeah, well, I gotta tell you, there's a couple things. One is I never go, fuck the commission, fuck New York State regulations, I'm underground, we're the hardcore under. I never talk shit. I just do my own thing, and I don't poke the sleeping bear, you know what I mean?
Right,
I do my own thing, and I don't bother them, I don't shit talk them, and I don't have beef with other. The thing, most people get in trouble is when another promotion rats them out. Like another promotion, like it's mad at another promotion and goes, do you know the guardrails aren't this far back? And they get all nasty and petty. Like back in the territory days. Yeah, it's bullshit. But for me, I have no street beef with anybody. You know what I mean? And for the most part, I'm bringing more people to pro wrestling shows more different indies. Like I'm going to be working with Outcast Pro, which is a new promotion in Brooklyn. And more people see what I'm doing and realize it's generating interest, so they like me. So it's not so much like haters, And second is I book my shows as performance art. Nowhere on my flyer do I say it's wrestling. I don't have a fucking ring, and I say it's performance art. So if anything, if the New York State Athletic Commission wanted to come shut me down, it would be huge fucking publicity for me. Seeing me get arrested in handcuffs, shutting down performance art show, like it would be so huge for me. They would be fucking helping me if they arrested me. You know what I mean?
Right, and you've never had any issues with the commission at all? They just kind of leave you alone, or?
I haven't heard anything, so I'm just gonna keep doing me, and we'll see how it goes.
Nice.
Yeah, I book my shows at like punk rock places that, like if you live in New York, you would know the places that they would never call the cops. You know what I mean? I don't run like posh bullshit neighborhoods.
Yeah, the Ask a Punk kind of venues.
Yeah.
Says a guy that's done Juggalo Championship Wrestling, but we can go on from that. Looking at what you've done and what you're looking to do going forward, let's go down kind of a quick list of names and venues here. And again, I don't want you to burn any bridges where you are right now, but
Okay.
But is there somebody that you're comfortable saying the name right now that, let's say, Biscuit Championship Wrestling's offering you a show right now, and I got this guy, that you would be like, absolutely fucking not, under no circumstances.
Like,
is there a guy...
I don't want to work?
Is there a guy that you're not going to work with?
See, my thing's weird. I'll go on the record about one thing, okay?
All right.
But it's not so much it's not a dig. So there's a guy that I worked once. I don't want to say a name, but I'll give you an example of something.
Okay, you don't need to name names if you don't want to.
So I was going to do a no-ring death match with this guy, and they flew me out to Orlando to do my no-ring shows, right? And now I'm going back to Orlando in next weekend for my 4th no-ring death match there. I've started my own little... So I do New York, Orlando, I've got New Orleans coming up, and I've got Tucson, Arizona coming up. So I'm slowly traveling with just the no-ring wrestling show,
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to wrestle this guy, and then I just needed an opponent, it was my first time there, and I just needed somebody to wrestle. And it's a guy that I knew from New York that lived there now. And, like, when day of the venue, he, like, refused to put me over. He's like, no, man, I live in Florida now. Why, I'm not letting you in. And I was like, I don't understand this. Like, they're flying me in here just for me to do one of my shows. You're not going to do business with me, like, day of? But for me, is I'm a professional. At the end of the day, it's not about winning and losing. It's a scripted fight. If your ego is ever so big that you refuse to lose a scripted fight, you're in the wrong fucking business. So what I did was I go, all right, I tell you what, I'm going to have the ref keep stopping me from doing hardcore stuff. And then, so the ref cuts me off. You beat me. You get to go home with the win. And then I bump the ref at the end. So we go up with a positive bump and all positive pop, and the crowd gets to go home happy. But honestly, it worked for the better, because then it ended up turning into a storyline of every time it went back to Orlando, the ref kept cheating me. And then the third time I wrestled Marcus Crane, and I go, if I beat Marcus Crane, I get 2 minutes alone with you. But if your guy beats me, I'll never step foot in Orlando again. So it ended up working out.
Yeah, I think I remember that, actually.
Yeah, because I'm a goddamn professional, and I make it work, all right? So, like...
Hello, pod people, and pardon the intrusion. This is just a brief reminder that you can listen to Big Bad Nonsense wherever fine podcasts can be listened to. Currently available on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, and via our YouTube channel. Please do subscribe and rate us, and tell a friend. And now, back to our special guest, Casanova Valentine.
There's another guy that I worked who refused to put me over. The thing is, I don't book these shows to put myself over, okay? As long as it makes sense storyline, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, for me, it's not about winning and losing. If you watch my matches, I've lost it. I've lost to Joe Attell. I've lost to Stockade. I lost to Masada. I lost 2 matches in Orlando before I won. It's not about winning or losing, but it has to have a kind of continuous story. You know what I mean? So that's what for me, the storytelling matters, not the winning or losing. Like, if I'm losing, it means I'm striving to finally win, for the payoff. Or, you know, it just has to make sense, you know?
Right.
So I had another guy fight with me about going over or not, and I was like, fine, dude, you win. You know, I'll make it work for whatever I got to do, you know? But for me, that's something I don't really care for. Like, listen, I'm a big, tough guy. You know, I could have done MMA. I wrestled in college, but I prefer wrestling because storytelling and having fans and being a character. So, like, if you're that worried about wins, man, I'll put you over, dude. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
it seems so strange to me that, like, in 2018, and in particular on the indies, people are still, like, Kevin Nashing each other. Like, what is it?
It's
like,
weird,
there's no
man.
kayfabe anymore. Like, what is the advantage here?
I don't get it, man. You know, I just want to have a good match. The thing is, the goal is, so I just wrestled this guy, Big Fucking Joe, from the UK at JCW, Jungle Championship Wrestling.
saw that.
That's an unreal name. Big fucking
Big
Joe.
Fucking Joe. But
Yeah,
listen,
he had a big fucking bleeder at the end of that.
oh my God, I got him all mooted out, man. He was tough. My favorite part of that match is I put him against the guardrail and I go, nice colored pussy, and I slap him across the face. I'm like, but what I'm saying is, okay, that match is a great example. Me and Big Joe, they weren't even going to record that. Like, JCW didn't have anyone to record the matches. So if I didn't bring my camera guy, it's crazy. You know, they have such production value and everything, but they didn't have anyone to record the show. So if I didn't bring my own camera guy, there would have been no footage of that. And I lost that match, but it elevated both of us. So now Big Joe is going to help me get to the UK. I'm going to help Big Joe here. And that's the point of the business, is to make money, elevate each other, that you're higher than you were going in. And to, you know what I mean? Like, it's not about winning and losing. It's about, if he can make me look good and I can make him look good, we're both worth more money, more places, you know?
I want to back up a minute here because you said a couple of the magic words in deathmatch wrestling to me right now, and that is Marcus Crane, who I think, outside of you yourself, might be the most underrated guy in the circuit right now, who's flying up the ladder right now. I mean, what's it like working with that fucking nut job who I have seen go through a razor board face first and didn't even look like it bothered him?
I'll tell you this. Marcus Crane is a fucking maniac who I love to death. In pro wrestling, I think Schlack and Marcus are my best friends. Marcus is a madman. I love him to death. He's also, I'll say this right now on record, Marcus Crane is the best deathmatch wrestler working right now. Easy. It's not even debatable. Like,
no, he might be. You might be right.
He is. Like, he just is. He does the best bumps. He does the most creative shit. The match, I don't know if you just watched the match he had at Freelance in Chicago. He wrestled a non-deathmatch guy who's Craig something. I can't remember his name. But, dude, it was incredible. The clips from that match, like, he can work and do high spots. You know, where I think Schlack and me are more character-driven. Like, you know, Schlack looks crazy, and I cut really mean promos. But if you watch my matches, like, I keep it kind of simple, dude. I just, you know, I'm not hitting Canadian destroyers and shit, you know? I'm more of like a Bruiser Brody brawler, you know?
Yeah, I mean, neither is Schlack. Schlack looks like they thawed him from a block of ice like 6 hours ago.
Yeah. I think me and Schlack are, I think, top for promo and presence, but I think Crane is number one overall and everything. Like, he can work, he can do the craziest bumps, like he did pigeon spikes, and he's
God, I remember that.
Like, who's more besides, you know, Crazy Monkey? Like, who else does sacrifice their body more than Marcus Crane? You know. Also, by the way, so my whole tagline is take drugs, fuck girls and win fights. And when I wrestled Marcus in Orlando, I was like, I think I'm going to change my gimmick to full night's sleep, balanced breakfast, because I could barely keep up with Marcus partying. Dude, we went out Friday in Orlando, right? We're wrestling at this bar called Sound Bar in Orlando. And we went out so hard the night before. I was blacked out. I didn't go to sleep till I was in the hotel room at 5 a.m. And I'm like, I'm going back out. I'm going to find something to do. Just wandering the streets of Orlando at 5 a.m, like fucked up. I was so hungover, calling the whole match. I was like, yeah, man, whatever you want to do. I almost canceled it. I'm like in Orlando. I was almost like, I don't know if I could do this again. But Marcus, he's indestructible, dude. I saw him do crazy shit, and he was up the next day like whistling, and I was so hungover, like. So
I think the drugs help.
Huh?
I think the drugs help for him.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about wrestling him next weekend just because I gotta keep up with him.
Yeah, he's. The first time I saw him, it was in one of those shithole IWA Deep South, that one match show a year that they've come out of bankruptcy. Man, he was dressed like a fucking rodeo clown like everybody else there you never heard of, and it's like, I'm never going to see this guy again. And right now I see shit on Twitter where GCW or what have you, they're like, who should we add? And it's Marcus Cray.
Yeah.
Like, he's number one right now.
Yeah. I mean, he's just fucking, he's a really good worker. All right, I'm done sucking Marcus's dick because I'm sure he's going to listen to this and be like, come on, Casanova, what the fuck? But
yeah,
really
you
good.
suck, Marcus. Fuck you. I'm going to fucking kick your ass, Marcus.
Yeah, so next weekend, it's a triple threat. It's me, Marcus Cray, and this guy, Johnny Knockout, triple threat. And then, I'm going to go ahead and announce it now. I haven't announced this yet anywhere. November 10th in New Orleans, I'm wrestling at this place called Poor Boys Bar, and it's me, Kit Osborne, and Marcus Cray in another triple threat. So that's going to be in New Orleans, November 10th.
Kit Osborne's another one that doesn't get as much pub as he should.
Oh, dude, Kit's one of my favorite people. What's so funny is before I got booked for Tournament of Death, and I went to like 2 CCW. I went to Cage of Death, and I went to the one show right before TOD. And I love it just because it's an excuse just to hang out with Kit and Dan O'Hare and Connor Claxton. Like, I'm friends with all those guys, so like, people don't realize it's a small community. Like, we're all friends,
Right.
Like, but what's so funny is the whole behind this, the whole feud between Game Changer and CCW, like back and forth, dude. We're all like, I'm not even in either of those promotions, but we're all friends. Like, I'm like, yo, what up, Jimmy Lloyd? Like, I hang out with Jimmy Lloyd and Connor Claxton and G Raver and Marcus Crane and Schlack. Like, we're all in group chats. Like, you know what I mean? We're all friends.
Right.
So, yeah, so the beef is with the promotions, not the workers,
Yeah, I think CCW, I mean, they were kind of the kingpin U.S. for a while, and since GCW came in, the booking they're doing is just so fucking outrageously good. It's like video game shit, and I think they feel a little threatened by it.
Yeah. For me, it's it's Jersey, and they're going back and forth. I just go to where I'm booked. I don't know. I don't have dealings with everybody. Like, I was booked for Jimmy Lloyd's birthday party they wanted to book me for Game Changer. It was going to be me versus Jeff Cannonball, but I was already booked in Orlando that weekend, so I had to, not do it. And then, really, dude, I had a really bad month. So, originally, it was supposed to be me. I'll tell you guys because it didn't happen. After Game Changer lost in New York, Joey Janela this Friday, it was going to be me and Jimmy Lloyd, no ring death match at Tender Trap for the after party. And it would have been sick, man. We would have, GCW would have co-promoted it. It would have been awesome. They would have, put me over a little bit, and then I would have been beating Jimmy. But Tender Trap is closing. There's like something going on with them, and they're closing, and they couldn't give me that weekend. And so now that didn't happen. And also this Saturday, I was supposed to wrestle on a boat against Tommy Dreamer, and Nashville got canceled. So instead of going from doing a Game Changer after party and then Tommy Dreamer having like a really sick, huge wrestling weekend, I'm doing jack shit with thumb up my ass. So, so I mean, I haven't worked Game Changer yet, but I'm sure it might happen. And CZW, I mean, I got some heat for doing Tournament of Death. A lot of fans were like ripping into me. But for me, it's a paycheck, man. I mean, they called me and I was free. You know, we're going to say no because there's online beef. Like, you know, I don't give a fuck. You know, like I'm from Brooklyn. I don't give a fuck about Jersey.
So talking about other promotions, you'd mentioned that you had wrestled in Hamilton, and like as the Canadian, I've got to ask, like, where have you worked in Canada?
So far, only No Limits Wrestling. It's a really random thing. Indestructible Joe Attell is a New York hardcore guy who I feel like doesn't get enough respect at all. He, a lot of people kind of poo-hoo him and, you know, trash him, but he's a solid worker. He's been in New York. I think the reason people give him shit is because he's been around so long and doesn't work any of the big promotions, but he just does what he does, you know? Like, I don't know why. I mean, he's a pro wrestler. He does what he wants. But people can't kind of give him shit. But if it wasn't for him agreeing to do the first no-ring death match, I would have never gone off the ground because he was the only guy crazy enough to do it. He's like, yeah, I'll fucking do it. I don't give a fuck. He's like, no one can think any less of me, you know? So, like, without him doing it, it would have been a thing. But Joe Attell had gone up to Canada and wrestled a deathmatch tournament for them. And then the promoter's name is Pierre, who's the best promoter I've ever worked with. Hell of a guy, lets me crash at his house. Always has a beer for me, extra bedroom. He's the best. He put me over to Pierre. Pierre was the first guy to really book me from the no-ring stuff. Like, now I'm starting to get bookings, but he was the first guy to be like, oh, he's doing no-rings? That's cool. It brought me in. So I came in, we did a quick tag match, and then I came back and I did this deathmatch gauntlet match. I had to do 4 deathmatches in a fucking row, and I lost like 2 pints of blood.
Jesus.
And it was a long...
Sounds about right.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh yeah, Casanova, he can't wrestle 3 rounds of Tournament of Death. I'm like, I just wrestled fucking 4 last week. So then I did that, and then I just went back up, and it was me, Schlack, and then 2 Canadians, Matt Cash and Tyler Hill.
Okay.
And I just won their belt. So now I'm the current No Limits champ. But I would like to break into interspecies wrestling. I'm really good friends with the owner, Michael Woods. I had him defend the interspecies belts on one of my deathmatch shows, Chris Dixon versus Joey Janela. So, like, we had their belt on the line. Yeah. So we had their belt on the line. Mm-hmm. I like them. I love to wrestle Sexy Eddie in Canada. So I'm trying to get into Canada more, you know.
The fact that Eddie's still alive kind of amazes me. I mean, he kind of put Tournament of Death on the map. I don't know if Sam's seen it because he's not as hands-on with deathmatch, but you know what I'm talking about. When he busted the RA and, he's like money-shotting himself. And, oh, my God.
I cut a promo so Sexy Eddie cut a promo talking about how he's the only Casanova, kind of like a slight rub off. And I was like, Sexy Eddie, you have been relevant still. You got a vagina on your arm and almost died at death. Yeah. And I'm out here currently killing the fucking game, but dude, I love Sexy Eddie. I'm actually a huge Sexy Eddie fan. So like that would be a dream match for me to knock off. So Interspecies Wrestling, if you're listening, book me versus Sexy Eddie. He's got he's got a hardcore belt up there and I want to take it. So let's do it.
Yeah, I was just trying to pull up the iconic image of that for Sam here, and if you Google Sexy Eddie, let's just say I don't recommend it. You're gonna see a lot of dicks. So let's move on.
Yo, real quick, I just want to say real quick, Sexy Eddie's reaction to the blood spraying out of his arm is pretty incredible. Like, he's just, like, smiling and loving it. Because I'll be honest with you, I sprung a leak pretty bad in Canada the second time, and my reaction wasn't to ham it up. My reaction was, oh, fuck.
Oh, yeah, like, I would have freaked out, and he was like, he just sold the shit out of it. It was...
When I was gushing like that pretty bad, I was like, let's go home, guys. Like, let's wrap this up. So, much respect to Sexy Eddie.
Yeah, a lot of people would see that as time to go to the hospital. I'm posting a little picture for Sam there in the chat.
I just Googled it, and yeah, that's a lot of dicks.
Yeah.
Yo, can I tell you a quick story really fast because it's fresh in my head? I'm sorry I have a segue from that's a lot of dicks.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Do you guys know Dick's? Do you guys know Dick's Sporting Goods? Do you know that chain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if Canada you have it. So, quick story time. All right. When I was in high school, my mom wanted to order me cleats for football season, right? And my mom's older. My parents are in their 70s now, but they're older. They had me like in their 40s, you know. So my parents are older. They don't really understand technology or computers and stuff. So my mom used to be a nail tech and worked at a nail salon. And she's telling all of her older friends who are all gossip queens who all have no idea what technology is. She's like, funny thing, I was trying to buy cleats for Tori. My family calls me Tori. Trying to buy cleats for Tori, and I typed in dicks, and all this gay porn came up. My mom just searches dicks, right?
Is this for fun?
Yeah. And
what benefit does this do for me?
Yeah, and so then one of her other also dumbass friends is like, well, Marion, that means it's in your search history. That means someone's searched dicks before. Has no idea what she's talking about. And so my mom is like, well, the only other person that's used my laptop is my son. And so she puts two and two together that she thinks I'm searching dicks on her computer, even though she's already actively searching dicks for Dick's Sporting Goods, right? So my mom picks me up from football practice, and she has to talk with me that she's okay with me being gay. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's so stupid.
Son, I know what you did based on what I did.
Yeah. I'm like, Mom, you typed in dicks in Google, and you got gay porn. That's what would happen.
It's because of you.
Now everyone knows that story. You're welcome. Internet.
No, that's a good parent internet story that, you know, they're like, this kind of pornography on the internet, it's so hard to find. Somebody must have done it before.
Yeah, someone must have done this before.
They bury this deeply, so for it to show up like that. But
yeah. So it took me a while to shake that because my mom worked at like a nail salon. It's all gossipy old women who don't have anything going on.
Yeah.
So.
Hello once again, pod people. We're just going to take one final break here to remind you all that you can find us on Twitter at Big Bad Nonsense. Come and join in the conversation as nonsense happens every single day, and we can get through this together. If you like what we're doing and think a friend would enjoy being part of the nonsense, please share us with them as it helps out the show. And now, back to the interview.
I kind of want to lead us towards the sort of end here with some kind of train wrecks with you, because I know you've definitely had some doing what you do. What is the shittiest venue that you've worked for a show? Like something that you walked into it and you're just like, oh my god.
Man.
You can only pick one.
Man. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I worked this small promotion called ECPW, which is like a local promotion. They're like a shindy. They're not, the talent's not really good, but they book like name guys. They're like a small promotion that books name guys. And I I don't know if I should. I'm going to tell it. All right. So,
yep. Think about it.
It's at this small gymnasium, and it's like all like the ring's real small, and I see like these weird people setting tables, and I'm already kind of regretting it. I'm like, oh fuck, you know. And we get in the locker room, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan's in the locker room. Keep in mind, I didn't know he was booked. He wasn't on the flyer or anything. But I don't know if I should say. But Hacksaw Jim Duggan's naked, and I just keep in mind, I just broke in the business. I don't know anyone. It's my first time working this promotion. I just open a door and I see Hacksaw Jim Duggan's dick. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And he had a huge dick, and I didn't even know what to do with that information.
So he carries a
like
couple
watching
2x4s.
My parents fuck or something. I was like, I don't know what to do. And he comes up to me, he's like, "Hey, what's up, kid?" Hacksaw, and like crushes my hand in a handshake. I'm like, "Hey, man," and I'm just like, I don't know if it was the best part of the night or the worst part of the night. I just don't know what to do.
All this time, I thought he was carrying a wooden plank, and it was just his dick.
Dude, honestly, I think it was a rub with Vince. Vince was like, "You got a big old dick, you tear out the wood." Like, I think I joke. But that was one of my first like horrifying experiences in the Indies. I had another one where like we're in the basement of this place and everyone was just like pissing in bottles because there's like no bathroom. So it was just like real, just fucking gross, you know? Yeah, and I also had another show. I wrestled another show, and like it wasn't the worst venue, but just talk about like anxiety. I was like 3 months in the business, and the guy I was wrestling like was caught in traffic, and you know this is why you have to learn how to work and not just be a spot guy, because he was caught in traffic and he fucking got to the venue and my music hit while he was like getting dressed. He's like, "Go call on the ring," and I was super green, and that guy wasn't that good to call in the ring. With the match still came together all right, but like talk about fucking shit in the dick. Like I was just like, oh god, you know, trying to piece it together on the fly with a guy I've never met, you know, and I wasn't that confident yet because I was only like freshly into the business. So I had another match where I did a tag match we called, to this day this match haunts me. It was me and this guy, Jamie Van Leemer, who no one knows. He used to work at NYWC. Super talented guy, but like he was in indie wrestling before it blew up, and then he got hurt. But super talented. We wrestled Joe Gacy and this guy and J-Ro, which is Jigsaw's brother. We call this huge indie-tastic tag match with flips, big spots, and on the ring, my tag partner blew his ACL up getting up to the apron, and so it turned into an impromptu handicap match. And like,
how the hell did that happen?
Dude, just jumping up to the apron completely blew his leg out.
Jesus Christ!
And so I'm, keep in mind, I'm kind of new. I'm probably like 6 months in, and I'm getting they're beating the fuck out of me. And Gacy's like, tag him in, and I didn't realize how bad his leg is. And Jamie's like, don't tag me in. So I have both guys telling me, and I'm like, and I tag him back in, and they try to one spot. I didn't realize how bad he was hurt. Fucking rolls out, and then I go back in there and just get slaughtered, because it's a handicap match essentially now, and it gets off the rails. I fuck up, and then Jamie, I get all this heat because I should have tagged him back in, but I didn't know what to do. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it was a real clusterfuck. Thankfully my matches have gotten better since then. So.
Right.
Yeah. I have footage of that match that's private on my YouTube, and I won't even watch it.
So, like, as somebody that is a huge fan of wrestling but has never really watched much deathmatch stuff, I know you probably get this question all the time, but, like, what is a match or a couple of matches that you would recommend for someone that's a fan of conventional wrestling?
I mean, I would look up any any early CZW, anything with Necro Butcher or Nick Gage. Yeah, I mean you can't go wrong with Necro Butcher, Nick Gage, or Matt Tremont or Masada. They don't have bad matches. Like All their death matches are great. I think the Masada versus Danny Havoc is the finals of I think the Nick Gage, one of the Game Changer tournaments, is really good. Nick Gage versus Matt Tremont when they did the concrete canvas is
Jesus.
amazing.
Yeah, I remember that one. That's you got to be hardened to watch that shit.
I would watch any of the recent. Dude, honestly, everything that Game Changer's done lately is just fucking the best you can see for American Deathmatch. I can't remember the guy's name, but the Mexican tag team. They wrestled each other in the finals of the last Tournament of Survival. Everything Game Changer recently, dude. You can't go wrong with any of the recent Game Changer shows. And this last last Tournament of Death was really great too. But honestly, I'm old school wrestling, so I'd watch any Necro Butcher, any Masada, any Nick Gage, and in Japan, look up Hayabusa was hands down my favorite deathmatch wrestler in Japan, FMW. So he wrestled Onita in an exploding cage match. There's just tons of good stuff. But
all right,
mostly names, you know. Oh, so I think the best match ever is Sabu Terry Funk Born to Be Wired. That's a good introduction because it's a slow build barbed wire match. So
okay, nice.
That. Yeah.
If I can throw one more in that's not a full-blown death match, but I think anybody that's into hardcore shit they have to see, it would be the ladder match, Chris Cash versus Joker, Cage of Death 5. I would say one's absolute mandatory.
One match I show all my friends who aren't pro wrestling fans. I show them any Masada Tanaka Mike Awesome match.
Yup.
Okay.
Yep.
I know. Listen, you don't think you like pro wrestling? Watch this motherfucker with a mullet fucking powerbomb this guy. Tell me you don't love that shit. You know?
Yeah, Mike Awesome was a... You don't want to fight him. Let's just put it at that. Like, he could beat up an army of me.
Yeah, Mike Awesome was the man. I show everyone either Mike, like, these are my go-to matches to show non-wrestling fans. I show them either Mike Awesome or Tajiri. Because Tajiri has, like, such a refreshing wrestling style. Like, I'm going to quick vent. I hate how everyone hits cutters and super kicks. I started throwing a super kick recently, so I'm guilty. But I'm tired of, like, the same shit. Like, Canadian Destroyer, it's Canadian Destroyer, lung blower, super kick, cutter. But the thing about Tajiri is he had a special moveset that only he did, and it felt special watching him. Same thing with Cesaro. Cesaro does an old school kind of moveset with Euros and big swings.
Yeah.
And it's unique to him. There needs to be more guys that just do a move. Like, why do you do that move? Like, why, you know, are you a suplex guy or are you Redrick Strong who does only backbreakers? You do something that's special to you or interesting to you or that you built towards it, you know? If you're a backbreaker guy, then you've been working the back the whole match. You know what I mean? Like, Tajiri is really fun to watch because he has a unique style that he only does. You know, he's not just hitting flips and Canadian Destroyer. Like, anyone can hit a Canadian Destroyer. You know what I mean? Like,
and like when you and something that works with the gimmick too. Like, I know even just in the like shitty local fed that we've got here, you see guys who are like 20 years old and they're doing super kicks and they're doing high spots and they're doing submissions, and I'm like, I'm watching this match in the ring and I don't know who you are. You're just doing everything.
Here's a good example. Okay, did Mick Foley ever hit a Canadian Destroyer?
No.
Okay. Did S.A. Rios hit crazy flips? Yeah. But who's a better wrestler, S.A. Rios or, you probably don't even know who S.A. Rios is. S.A. Rios or Mick Foley? It's because an emotional connection. The best wrestling match of all time, and it's not even debatable. I won't even argue with it because it's a fact. The best wrestling match of all time is Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, WrestleMania 3. Okay? Because emotional connection, build-up, and fan interaction and storytelling, there's nothing beats it. It's the best match of all time. Okay? They didn't hit shit. The finish of that match was a fucking leg drop. Okay? Like, it's emotional connection. You know?
Yeah.
You see Foley's face and you feel for him getting beat up. You know, when you hit a Canadian Destroyer, they're popping for the move. They're not popping for you. You know, you got to make them care about you. Like personality.
Like Foley and Undertaker, that Hell in a Cell match, the first time that I felt scared in that wasn't the first bump, wasn't the second bump. It was the shot after the second bump when Mick Foley looks right in the camera and smiles. That was the first time I felt fear watching that.
Yeah, and like because you care, you're emotionally invested in that person. You know.
Yeah.
Like, I see these indie matches, like, who am I? You know, I'm not some fucking all-star guy. But, like, I see these matches, and I'm like, okay, you hit a bunch of fucking cutters, and, like, but you have the personality of a limp dick. Like, I don't give a fuck about it. I can see cutters and flips at any fucking show now. But what makes you different? Like, it's not even different, but what makes you exciting? You know, like, what's the point of having abs and hitting a 450 if who could give a fuck about what you know? Like, do something interesting. You know, like
that's like I'm gonna commit blasphemy here as a deathmatch / trash gore aficionado that's watched so much of it, but that's why I never got into Wife Beater back in the early CZW days. Because he just came out and he just took those light tube crucifixes to his back. He got like 200 tubes broken over him during a fucking match, and that's not even exaggerating. Yeah. But you got to a point you're like, dude, we fucking get it. Like, stop. Do something else. And it was just gore for the sake of gore, but you're not building anything.
Well, Deathmatch is very guilty. Think how easy it is to do good storytelling with deathmatch. It's so fucking easy. But every deathmatch, it's this guy versus this guy for no real apparent reason, and then they put each other over at the end. You know, because it's like, yo, you got fucked up, I got fucked up. But dude, it's so you can do storylines in deathmatch. There's no reason you can't do storytelling in deathmatch. Like I did the Orlando thing where I lost twice, and I go, you know, if I get him, I get 2 minutes alone with you. You know, you could do storytelling like right now, like in my opinion, right now, like the biggest death match that could happen in the US, and it'd be so fucking easy to build it, would be Nick Gage versus Masada. Okay? Okay. Why does that not happen? And Masada is like one of the last real bad motherfuckers. Nick Gage is notorious. They're the two top guys. I think they only wrestled once in like Germany or something, you know? Yeah. But you could easily have him come in and just be like, I'm the real fucking outlaw. I'm the blah. You're taking it, you know, it's so easy. You know, like, you know, and then, or like, you know, don't put each other over at the end. You could do a bullshit finish in a death match and it doesn't ruin the death match and it builds towards, you know, the first match could be a hardcore match and then it's no ring. And then someone gets involved, and then now it's a no-ring barbed wire cage. You know, like, you could still go up in deathmatch. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason you can't do storytelling, you know?
I would take those two, and I'd add Jun Kasai and just, like, have them do three-ways until they died.
In the U.S., like, if I was a booker, I would make that my build to the big show. You know, if that was me, you know.
Yeah. All right. I think we could go for another 2 hours here and not be tired of it. But
yeah, sorry.
But no, absolutely, you've been awesome. What I think I want to do at this point is I want to do a final question. I want to give Sam one final one if he has one as well, and then I think we're gonna wrap it up because seriously, I think we could shoot the shit all night.
Yeah, you guys are great.
Mine would be, what's the most fucked up thing you've seen a fan bring as a weapon to a death match? Because I remember talking to a guy that did one of the first IWA MS King of the Death matches, and I asked him this. I just said, you know, what's the most fucked up thing somebody tried to sneak into a fans bring the weapons match? And he looked at me and he said, a gun. Like somebody brought a fucking Glock to it and was like, use this shit. So I want to know what the most messed up thing you've seen is.
At Tournament of Death, we get there and they're stockpiling all the fans bring the weapons, and some sick fuck took a water jug and super glued gusset plates to all the water jug.
Oh no!
And then had and then had razor wire around it. And I go, fuck that. Get that thing away from me.
Shit.
Oh my. Yeah.
Speaking
No.
real quick, side thing. I do everything. All right, like there's not one thing I've said no to. I've done thumbtacks, barbed wire, light tubes. I haven't done. I've done gusset plates. I've yet to do panes of glass, but I'll do it. The one thing I fucking hate is I hate carpet strips. And the reason I hate carpet strips,
I know. Oh my
is
god,
because
dude!
it's visually bullshit. Like a light tube explodes and it's exciting.
Yeah,
or
it doesn't even look good, and it rips you up.
Dude, it's like you get the most hurt you ever get, and no one sees it,
and nobody
like,
gives a shit. You are speaking my language, man.
I don't get the carpet strips. It's like you go through it, no one pops because it's not like a big noise or exciting looking, and then you just cut the fuck, and you're just like, what the fuck is that even for? Like, no, you know what I mean? At least a tube like makes a noise, you know. So I don't know who started carpet strips, but fuck you.
Yeah. 2 votes there.
They suck.
So I know you probably get asked like dream match booking questions all the time, but I've got to ask a deathmatch wrestler, if there was somebody who was not a deathmatch wrestler, any time in history, anybody, who you think would have done really well in death matches, who would that be?
So what wrestler would be good in death match, or what wrestler I want to wrestle?
Either or.
Okay. I kind of wish Bruiser Brody was still alive. I would have been interesting to see how Brody would be like current time in it, you know?
Yeah.
I'll tell you guys this because shit's already happened, you know what I mean? So I might as well. So I was trying to book Deathmatch 10 for August, but with Tender Trap closing, everything got all fucky. And so originally I was trying to get Tommy Dreamer to do No Ring, and then he passed. And I tried to get Sabu, and Sabu, like, he wanted a ton of money, and I'm like, I'm not that guy. I can't, you know?
Yeah.
And then I almost had Jimmy Havoc because he was here with Progress. But he's like, I'm only free next Monday, and it was like Saturday when he got back to me. I was like, well, it's not enough time.
I can only wrestle these 7 minutes.
Yeah, he's like, I'm free in 2 days on a Monday. I was like, dude, I don't know if I can promote it or not, you know. So I have, I'm not going to tell you who, but I've got Deathmatch 10 booked to September 12th. But Sabu would have been like my number one dream match. As you know, I hate to be a mark, but you know, Sabu is my favorite wrestler of all time. I don't care what anyone says. He's older and blotches stuff now. Fuck that. We're so like Sabu invented half the shit you see today.
Yeah,
he deserves so much goddamn credit.
And even when he's botching shit, he's still more entertaining than most people.
Fucking like, dude, tables, springboard with the chair. Like, Sabu's the man, dude. Like, so ideally, my dream match before I retire would be Sabu. I feel like me and Nick Gage has to happen at some point. I mean,
I was gonna say a birdie told me this was supposed to happen by now, sir.
It was supposed to happen. Things change, man.
Yeah.
So,
you promised me on the internet. That makes it true.
Well, things came up with Gage. I was supposed to wrestle Gage, and then I had a match change, and I didn't want to. Okay, I was supposed to wrestle Gage, and I was hoping to have a win leading into Gage, and then something came up, and I didn't want to lose, and then challenge Gage fresh off a loss because I felt like it made no sense storytelling-wise. So after I lost, I was like, well, I got to wait. I had to build some more wins before Gage. You know, I can't call him out on a loss. And then things just changed, and like, you know, and this is just how pro wrestling is. Like, I was supposed to wrestle Tommy Dreamer like 4 different times in my career so far, you know. Till I'm in I was supposed to wrestle him this weekend. Till I'm in the fucking ring with Tommy Dreamer, he's kicking the shit out of me. I won't believe it till it happens. You know, it's just kind of how pro wrestling is, you know.
Yeah.
But I could probably guarantee that me and Gage will happen at some point because, I mean, I've done Tremont, G-Raver, Schlack, Arcade, Masada, Claxton. You know, like I mean, it's if I want to say I'm one of the top deathmatch guys, I've done Marcus Crane. You know, if I want to say I'm one of the top deathmatch guys, I have to wrestle fucking, you know, Age. So.
Yeah. So just for the record, how funny would it be if mid-2000s TNA Scott Steiner started doing death matches?
That would be my favorite. I love
Can you
every second of
fucking
that.
imagine?
Dude, he would just potato the fuck out of everybody.
He did. He did as it was. Like, he did so much cocaine, he forgot wrestling is fake. Like, he's...
Oh man, you know what? That describes half the workers I know too.
Oh my God, Steiner versus Gage. Like, you wouldn't know which was in character.
Oh my god, dude! Some of my favorite clips is just Steiner fucking people up in the ring. Oh my god, it's so much fun. There's so many clips of him just cussing and shooting on people. Plus, like, his promos would be so good. Can you imagine?
Oh god, what was the one? Remember Hiroshima? Remember when Pearl Harbor bombed the Germans?
Oh my god.
Remember when the Germans attacked Pearl Harbor?
In
MDK, Hate Gang, GCW.
In TNA, he was calling Samoa Joe a half-breed. Do you remember that? Yo, I can't believe you got away with that. Like, Samoa Joe, you half-breed? I was like, oh, I don't know, man. That's fucking, I don't know how cool that is, dude.
Now let me say something about Booker T. Commercial.
Now go commercial break. Yo, his promos would be so good. I was just like going back and rewatching. There's think of how amazing old WCW was. I was watching a random Nitro, right? I went back on the network, and Scott Steiner walks out with a fucking tiger for no reason. It's a Nitro.
Oh yeah,
it's a fucking Nitro, and he walks out with a tiger. I'm like, you wonder why this company went bankrupt? They like just randomly sprung for a fucking tiger for Scott Steiner for no reason. Like,
oh yeah, I don't know if you've ever read The Death of WCW by Brian Alvarez, but I'm just going through the audiobook again and trying to follow along while like watching the old Nitros, and like, how did nobody see that company was going under 5 years before it did?
Dude, I watched. So there's a friend of mine named Ryan Fox who is the ref in Orlando that fucked me over. But real life, he's one of my favorite human beings. He's the guy that like helps get my flight schedule and stuff for Orlando. And our thing is we go back. Do yourself a favor. Start at 2000 and go watch every Nitro from 2000. And it makes, because like it's near the end and it's like shit we don't really remember because you know.
Yeah.
And it's like it would be like Disco Inferno, just like in a tables match against like Davey Boy Smith for no fucking reason. And it's like it's almost like a fever dream. It's what the fuck is this? And like I watched the last one I watched, it was like Vampiro fought like David Flair and Crowbar in like a 40-minute handicap match. It was like competitive.
Finally.
Yeah, and then Bret Hart had to wrestle like 3 times in one night, and they lower the cage. It's him versus Sid, and the cage doesn't go down all the way. And it's like, what the fuck is happening? It's like you snorted. Imagine if you snorted a bunch of ketamine and tried to explain pro wrestling before it made you hallucinate, and you're quickly trying to like, blah, 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 and it hits you, and you're just like, like it's just like.
It's incomprehensible. Like, I just watched the one where Chris Candido and Terry Funk had that hardcore match in a stable for a reason, I'm sure. And then Terry Funk gets kicked by a horse.
Yeah.
And, like, the best part is his immediate response, just off the cuff, is, "You fucking horse, I'll kick your ass." Like, this show is insane.
Okay. I watched this random Nitro, real quick, we'll wrap this up. And I don't remember what the premise was. But they're making, I can't remember who it was, but they're making someone wrestle a bunch of legends in one night, okay? And so this really happened. It's a cage match. I can't remember who it is, but off the top of the cage, it's Chris Benoit and Superfly Jimmy Snuka both jump off the top of the cage and dive on this guy at the same time. And my buddy Ryan Fox is like, they call that the double homicide. And I just lost.
Right.
Like, who the fuck booked that match? Like, what is going on?
Oh,
It's so good. Fucked up. Probably lost. I hope probably going to lose bookings from this podcast. I promise one more thing. At the Gathering of the Juggalos, I saw a cardboard cutout of Chris Benoit outside someone's tent. And so, listen to this. Listen to this. So me and Big Joe were drunk, and we're like, oh my God, we should go to these people's tent, ask them if we could use the Benoit cutout in our match. Like, you run some heat on me, and I pull out the Benoit, and it scares you, and I throw you in a CrossFit, you know? So we're trying to think of spots to do with the cardboard cutout. and we go, but listen how fucked up this is. We go into the tent, and we're like, hey, guys, what's the deal with that Benoit cutout? Do you think we could borrow it for a match tomorrow night? And it goes drastically not what we think it's going to go. These guys are like, oh, we used to be best friends with Chris Benoit. It would be an honor if you did like a tribute to him. And we're like, oh, we want to do it to be dickhead, like joke around.
Yeah, not to honor him so much.
Yeah, and they were like, no, we're like huge friends of Benoit, and we love him still. And I was like, oh, this got dark now. Yeah. So it totally killed the fun of the idea. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this isn't fun anymore. You know, like.
That's an awkward exit. You got to be like, my phone's going off, so.
Yeah, the Gathering of Juggalos was fucking crazy, man. It was nuts.
I can only imagine from what I've seen.
It was just like midgets and naked women and just people laying off fireworks. It was just like lawless.
Or as I like to call it, Tuesday. So, Sam, Cass, maybe we'll do the Juggalos another time. I'd love to have you back. You've been awesome.
Thank you.
I think we're going to wrap it up here. I want to give you some time to pimp whatever you got coming up, keeping in mind that it's probably going to be about a week before I get this edited and put out. But other than that, whatever you got.
I'm going to see, hopefully, if this already happened, cut it out. But you can follow me on Twitter, Casanova Val666. My Instagram is MCDeathBear. Yeah, I have one called Casanova Valentine, but I'm not active on that one. I know it's a different name. Fucking sorry. Everything's not perfect. It's MC Deathbear. It's my art page. Now it's mostly wrestling because my wrestling career is blowing up. So Instagram, MC Deathbear. Twitter, Casanova Val666. You can add me personally on Facebook, but it's going to get really annoying because my mom posts on my wall, and it's not going to be cool. Upcoming matches. This next weekend, August 25th, three-way death match. Marcus Crane versus me versus Johnny Knockout. No ring death match. Orlando, Florida, as soundbar for the recently formed No Peace Underground death match title. Okay? And then next weekend after that, September 2nd, the Hoko Fest, headlined by Andrew WK. Triple threat death match is a theme here. It's me versus Neil Diamond Cutter versus Michael Kruger. And then after that, November 12th, New Orleans, triple threat, no ring death match. Marcus Crane, Kit Osborne, Casanova fucking Valentine. September 12th, the Hipster Heartthrob, Casanova Valentine versus, I can't fucking tell you yet, at the last show at Tender Trap ever. It's actually going to be a different name, but still the same address. Boom. And then October 20th, Unsanctioned Pro, Ohio. October 27th, Vicious Outcast Wrestling, West Virginia. As I come in, September 20th, Outlaw Pro Wrestling in Brooklyn, and that's all I can remember right now.
And Mr. Secret Mystery Host, do you have any deathmatch shows coming up?
I do not. I think most recently, I just played drums on the new Tennyson King record. It's coming out, I believe, the end of this month. It's called Coast. He's got a video up for the single right now on YouTube, so just TENNYSON King. And yeah, check it out.
He said deathmatch, motherfucker! Don't make me cut the can! Cut the light tube on your head!
All right, you guys have been fucking phenomenal. Thank you for carrying me during this episode. I would like to have you both back sometime.
Yeah. Sam, I'm going to be in Hamilton, Ontario, defending my NLW belt sometime in October. The match, the date's not set. Please come. Beers on me, okay?
Hell yeah, you're one town over.
All right. Sounds perfect, man.
All right, and for those listening out there, thank you for joining us for episode 3 of Big Bad Nonsense. We will be back for episode 4. Really depends when Sock gets back, if he does, or if he gets eaten by bears, but we will see you sometime. Thank you.
Take drugs, fuck girls, and win fights.
All right, pod people, thank you for listening to the Big Bad Nonsense Podcast, Episode 3. You can find Casanova Valentine on Twitter at CasanovaVal666. Sam can be found playing drums on the new Tennyson King single at TennysonKing.com. Links to everything can be found in the show notes. Please subscribe and rate us on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, or join the conversation on Twitter at Big Bad Nonsense. See you all in the next episode, and it's been great to know that you're listening.
Hopefully the Hacksaw story is okay.
You kidding? I lost my shit during that. That's awesome.